Hello, my name is Danny Krastic here with 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and we are back with Movies Till Midnight, start of our new season, and we are starting off with a very special interview. I'm going to let you introduce yourself for our listening audience.
Hi, I'm Erika Totoro, and I'm the writer, director, producer of the stop motion animated short film, Play Charade. So,
So, real quick, I mean, what can you tell us about what is the movie about? I know what it's about, but what is the movie about?
yeah, so Lady Charade is stop motion animated short about a mime going through a breakup with his imaginary friend. And it takes place in a 1950s rundown diner. So we just kind of watch as chaos ensues as he comes to grip with whether or not he should leave his profession. So, yeah, very cute.
Broad strokes before we get into the specifics of the film, what got you into film and specifically animation?
Yeah, so stop motion, even specifically, I started making stop motion films when I was about 15 years old, I think. And it started with making clay figurines in my basement. And I've just always loved film. It's always been a big thing for me and my family. And always loved Wallace and Gromit, Nightmare Before Christmas. And yeah, actually, I used to be terrified of stop motion too. Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas actually, I think, like traumatized me a little bit. And there's something about like being scared of things, I think, that will like draw you to them a little bit. And so I've always just had this interest in stop motion, and it's just the perfect culmination of art, sculpture, and film to me.
Mhm.
So it's just the perfect niche, I think, for the films that I want to create. So I started making stop motion shorts when I was 15. I made two before I got to college, and then I made two at school, and I just graduated SCAD in June. So yeah, and
Congratulations on
thank you.
graduating. So, real quick, you primarily do stop motion, right? Do you work with other animation genres also, or is it just the stop motion?
I have, I think if I had to pick a medium, stop motion would be the one.
Mhm.
That in live action, I think actually too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm mostly
so,
stick to those.
interesting. Well, then, what is it about stop motion compared to other animation genres then that's so appealing to you?
Oh yeah, totally. It's so niche too, and I think it's just that thing of it being a culmination of everything, but it's really the sculpture and physical aspect of everything. There's nothing really like it other than I guess making big live action props. Stop motion, it's just so beautiful. It's so hands-on. I started with claymation, and the fact that you could see your own fingerprints in the things that you're making is such a beautiful aspect of
Mhm.
filmmaking. So that's what really drew me to it and led me to keep going. I think just having your own personal touch on it. And there's so many intricate details that you can put into it. There's so many things about Charade that were just like everything is so important. Everything's so intentional because you just have to like use your time as much as you can. And you're putting everything physically on the set.
Yeah,
Like it's gotta have a meaning and it's gotta have importance. And if not, then why are you even
yeah.
including it, you know? So I think that's just so beautiful about stop motion.
It's a very cool medium, and it's something that I wish I had any talent in.
Patience. Yeah, patience is a big thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, while you were at SCAD, you also were one of the founders of the Stop Motion Club down there. So, can you tell us a bit about what went into both forming the club and running the club and what you guys ended up doing there?
Oh my goodness, yes, my that's my baby, Stop Motion Club. I started that club with my co-founder Dahlia Kressler, and there was just such a small community of people at that do stop motion at SCAD. It's not a major, minor, or concentration, so it's really just a group of people who are passionate about it, really trying to do it and get themselves into the industry. So there was like the class is made up of 16 people, and it took me a while to get into a stop motion class at SCAD. So I didn't start doing stop motion until my junior year, even though I knew I wanted to do it the entire time like I was at SCAD. So I knew that there was something wrong. I was like, okay, let's do something that we can get this more promoted. And within the first quarter that we started the club, we got 100 people to join, and then it's just turned into this kind of big thing where we had over 400 members now in the club, and
A lot.
it's just so fun. It's just the way to promote stop motion, just not even at SCAD, just in general. And
Mhm.
um, it it was just a little happy, safe place. And we were a little obnoxious about the way we were promoting ourselves, I think. But yeah, going to town halls dressed as mimes and big signs telling people to join the stop motion club and such. But
Mhm.
you got to do what you got to do to get your,
Yeah,
your voice
it sounds
out
like it paid
there.
off.
Yeah, yeah, and it was so fun, and just our meetings were just teaching people about stop motion and getting them to know that we existed at SCAD was the big thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think hopefully we turned out a legacy.
Well, I'm sure you did. But let's talk about this film specifically now. Can you talk about the inspiration behind it? What came, where did the inspiration to, where did the idea of this sad mime
Yeah,
take for life?
yeah, it's a biopic. No. Um, so funny enough, this is not my first film about a mime.
Really?
Yes. I can't tell you
Wow.
what it is that speaks to me personally about mimes, but I made a short live action short film in 2021. I went to this film camp, um, French Woods in upstate New York, and I was a film counselor. And basically, we just, taught the kids how to make films, and it was really fun. But we had a slow quarter, and it was like, okay, it's usually helping the kids make their film, but I got the chance to just put my own idea in there. Literally, I think it came to me in a dream to do a mime mockumentary about this mime that was scared of boxes, had claustrophobia. So we made this cute little film and with the campers, but it just always stuck with me. Like it was the most fun that I think I had at that camp. And then the idea of using a mime for stop motion when it came to making my senior thesis, which is what Late Charade is, um, I thought worked so perfectly because there were so many things that kind of worked production wise to make it easier. The producer in me a little bit there of it being mime doesn't speak, you don't need dialogue. Imaginary friend, you don't need another character. Um, Mime doesn't need props to hold, and one set in a diner. It's funny because those were the things that almost founded the, you know, idea to put it into stop motion, which kind of bit us in the butt a little bit too. We ended up having 55 different face replacements, even though he doesn't talk, which is a lot for stop motion. And it's a 3D printed head. So all those had to be made, modeled and then printed, and then that whole process. And it's a record for our school. No one's ever done that many faces before. Our set, because there's this psychological aspect to the film and it keeps changing throughout. There's four different versions of the diners. So one setting didn't play too well production wise, but at the end of the day, it was just doing whatever needed to do to make the film look how I envisioned it and make it look as crazy. And we just got really fun with it and really trying to see how crazy we could get with this concept of this mime going through this psychological breakdown. And so,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So, because of the fact that it's a mime, there's a lot of bits. There's a lot of bits and gags in this movie. How did you come up with them specifically? Did you just I'm imagining there was just like a chalkboard or like a red yarn connecting like a bunch of.
Oh my goodness, literally. Yes. No, we had a big whiteboard and it was just like drawing it all the time. We started so how it works at SCAD is like you pitch the idea in May, I think, or April of the year before. So I've been working on this since around then. I think I started the pitch for it in February. So the concept was always there, but when we had to get into gag making, that was what I think we spent the entire summer doing. And it was just going to my team, be like, okay, what can we come up with? And there were just so many different versions of the gags that he could go through that didn't even make it in there. And I think started with the ideas of it being the stages of grief was the first thing we went through. And we were
Really?
like, yeah, so how could we interpret that into
Huh.
action forms? And so we played around with that. So there's maybe a little bit of that still like baked into the final of the film, but it wasn't as cohesive as like we originally planned it to be. And really just seeing what we can do to play with the medium of stop motion was the big thing. There was a lot that we didn't think we were going to be able to pull off that kind of magically came together. And that's the joy of stop motion a little bit is it's like, okay, I have this crazy idea. How can we do the problem solving of it? So things like him having really long arms in the film, figuring out how we can like give our puppet long arm attachments and stuff and what we can play with it. And it's like short little clips of the film that took us weeks to figure out how to do, but big payoff there.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of pulling from movie references too was a big thing. I can't tell. I think I've watched every film about a diner and researched everything you could possibly know about mimes. Just there. So
Yeah, next step, write a book. Uh,
yeah.
so, what goes into, the post-production element of like obviously, you make all the puppets and you have to make all of the sets and everything like that. You have to, physically move everything and, get the frames of it, however, whatever the process goes into there, however you end up doing it. But then when you're editing it and putting it together, like how's that different compared to a live action film?
Yes. So I ended up editing the film too,
Oh,
which was
perfect.
just think my way of keeping the overall vision a little bit more. But it happens way quicker, I think, than we intended to be because it's stop motion and it's school production, well, school senior thesis. You have a very limited amount of time, very strict deadline of when the film can finish. When you getting kicked out of school, everything's physical. You gotta leave the sets behind or take them with you, and then production ends when you remove the physical sets. So throughout the year, it was incorporating the shots as they come in, editing it piece by piece. And then there's a bit of compositing that goes into it with taking out the rigs of the characters. And I think the most fun aspect of post production we did was the incorporation of smear frames. And that was something that happened really late on. It was something we were testing in summer because I'm not sure if it's really ever been done before, but it was basically taking the real photos since it's stop motion. So from the camera, getting the real photos and digitally editing them in Photoshop so that we'd have smear in betweens so that it looks almost more cartoonish because that was a big art design that I envisioned was incorporating almost like this Looney Tunes-esque gag, overall gags to the film. And so figuring out ways we can make it more cartoonish and smear frames were a big part of that. Um, Other than that, it was just I edited it in Premiere. So
There you go. There you go. So, yeah, your film recently screened at the Trenton Student Film Festival and won for Best Animated Film. So, how's that feel? That people are
amazing.
seeing and liking your movie.
Yeah, it's I'm so disappointed I didn't get to go. This has been the third showing of our film, which is so exciting, and yeah, our first big win of animation, which is so incredible to get recognized for that because there's just so much hard work that goes into making an animated film, and of course stop motion specifically. So to get recognized for that is really heartwarming and exciting, and yeah, it's hopefully just the tip of the iceberg. We're in over 30 festivals coming up. So
I was
yeah,
just about to ask, like, where else can we watch the movie?
yeah, I'm
Now,
actually
if you remember any off the top of your head, if you have 30, that's a lot.
oh yeah, 30's a lot, but I'm actually traveling to Portland, Oregon next week or this week, Tuesday. Yeah, to go to the PIFCAT Portland Festival of Cinema and Animation and Technology, and it's a big animation festival. So if anyone's in Portland, that's a big exciting one that we'll be showing at. And then there's a couple in LA coming up. We'll be some, oh, I think I'm not allowed to say yet, actually, some ones that we're in, but um There's some in New York. It's all over the place. It won't be released officially for a year from now once we're out of the festival circuit, but next one's Portland. So if you're in Portland,
If you're in Portland, you have something to do now on Tuesday. Uh,
yes.
so let's go back a bit more broadly. So, you're out of college now. Where do you see yourself in the field? What's next for you?
Yes, so I've been making stop motion films since before I got to school, and I want to keep making them afterwards. The biggest thing for me, I think, is the story aspect of making films in general. So wherever I can keep making films with my own ideas is where I'm going to be the most happy, I think. So looking to keep making short films, looking to make episodics. Watch out for that, I think. And yeah, wherever I can make stop motion is the best that I can do. But long road of Les Charade first ahead of me, I guess.
Yeah, long time. You got a year. Uh, so where do you see, very, very broadly, very, we're getting existential now. Where do you see the animation field going in the next few years now that you're in it?
Yeah, so unfortunately, it looks like we're looking at a little bit of a rough time. There's maybe a impeding strike happening. But I think it is almost it's kind of an exciting time for stop motion though. There's a lot of stop motion films coming out or just new developments in stop motion that I keep seeing, and I think even though it is a difficult time for animation in general, it is so exciting to always see the developments that stop motion makes on a bigger scale. Wildwood's coming out soon for like a new Wallace and Gromit film I'm so excited about coming out soon. We just had Chicken Run, Pinocchio won Best Picture at the Oscars. I think it's a exciting time for stop motion, even though it is so niche and small. It takes so long to get done. Once it is, it's
Yeah,
so beautiful.
100%, 100%. So, what advice do you have for people trying to get into the animation field, the film field, looking to start out? What advice do you have?
I think, you don't necessarily need to go to school to make a stop motion film. I started in my basement, and I think that's one of the fun things about stop motion is it's not that it's easy to make. It's not, definitely not easy to make, but you really can use any form of camera you can if you have the vision for it and you have the drive to make films and you really want to. That's why I drifted towards stop motion. Um, was, all I needed was myself, a block of clay, and a camera, and the place to shoot it. And that's really like what I was doing before I made like my actual first short film. It was like taking photos with, an iPad with Play-Doh, right? Like
Yep.
it can be that simple if you want it to be, if you're really interested in it. Um, yeah, and just do it. Like if you have a vision for it, just whatever you can. If you have the drive, you can make it happen. I always think that um, you know, it will get done because you want it to. So that was always like my driving thing. Anytime we had some production hiccups for Charade, it was just, it's going to get done because I wanted to. It has to, too. That was also a big thing.
Gotta get done.
Yeah.
So, to wrap up, we always ask this question of all of our guests that we have here on the show. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie.
Doesn't need to be animated. It can be whatever you want.
I
Open
know. Oh my
the
gosh.
option.
We pull up my letterbox. Okay. Ooh, okay.
That's usually what people end up having to do.
Really, okay. My four are so funny on Letterboxd, but I do think, ooh, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is really a big.
Good pick.
I think when I first saw that movie for the first time, I think I saw it late. I was in high school, and I just like always heard like film bro things about the movie, and I like put it off, and I'm like, it's Michael Cera. I love Michael Cera. I just remember watching it going in completely blind, not knowing what it was about, and just having like a spiritual experience almost watching this movie, just like the musical aspect, the video games and the editing, and I love Edgar Wright. And so watching that movie for the first time was just like I've never been so entranced in a film before, and I think I literally watched it every single day for that week after I watched it for the first time. It's something I always just come back to anytime I need more inspiration because I think it's just a film made with so much detail. It could be animated, and I mean now they have the animated
Mhm.
show on Netflix, but um, it's just a film like that where you put so much detail in and you can see the love that went into it. I think is so lovely, and so that might be my number one.
Number one. It's a good pick. And speaking of Letterbox, your movie is on Letterbox, by the way, apparently.
Is it really?
Yeah, someone put it on there.
Oh my goodness! You know what? I was trying to do that and I was having trouble. So
There you
wow,
go. There you
that's
go.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Letterboxd.
thank you very much for joining me today. Looking forward to seeing the movie when it, continues its festival run, when it drops officially sometime next year. And of course, we're looking forward to seeing what you make next.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, and this was so exciting. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. This has been Danny Krastik from Blue Flamingo Studios. Thank you very much for watching. If you are interested, this is where you can check out some of our other content. Thank you very much for joining us today.